us tonight. I guess back by popular demand or maybe forced demand. There's going to be a part 2 from last week. But before we get into it, I'd just like to introduce my cohorts here. How are you doing, JP?
I'm good. Looking forward to tonight's discussion. Yes.
Johnny Quick.
Hey, I'm just hanging on by. Let me apologize early if we lose some electricity, if we lose a few things because I'm out in the rural parts of Oklahoma, and so we hanging on by a thread.
But that's all right, Twinkle Toes. Yeah. Why don't you tell them I'm calling you Twinkle Toes there, sir?
Tell it.
I came out of retirement for this past Saturday. It was 14 years since I've last been in a step show, and I decided to come back because the last time I stepped was 1 month after my mother had passed, and it wasn't a good feeling. And so someone asked me to come back for one more show, so I decided I would go ahead and do it. And so this past Saturday, I stepped for one more again, as they say. And so it was real good. I'm glad I did it, and I'm done.
You done?
I'm done.
You retired.
Hey, I saw it, and hey, you were awesome, brother. You were awesome.
Yeah, you
Thank
were.
you very much.
You retired again.
I'm done.
Mr. Coleman, glad for you to join us tonight. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, bro? It's good to see y'all, man. My apologies for being late.
No worries, no worries. I'm gonna start it off a little different tonight. I actually have a poem that I would like to read to get the show started. It kind of I'll just read it. The author is unknown. Title: Test of a Man. The test of a man is the fight that he makes, the grit he daily shows, the way he stands upon his feet and take life's numerous bumps and blows. A coward can smile when there's not to fear, and nothing has progressed bars. But it takes a man to stand and cheer while the other fellow stars. It isn't the victory, after all, but the fight that a brother makes. A man, when driven against the wall, still stands erect and takes the blow of fate with his head held high, bleeding, bruised, and pale. It's the man who will win and fate defied, for he isn't afraid to fail. My good, bad, ridiculous tonight, gentlemen.
What up, Pimpalicious? Let's talk about that, Pimpalicious. So what made you go with that one tonight?
It just kind of entails, I think, what I want to get into, and like I said, what a man, what a real man endures. It's a lot of stuff he's going to have to go through. Sometimes you have to take a, the second seat, watch somebody else, star. You may not succeed. What you thought was right, you might fail, but that ain't the end of it. Every real man is going to fail. It's how you come back from it, and whether people agree with you or not. If you are strong in your conviction, you have to be a man to yourself. That's looking in the mirror. But on my good, bad, ridiculous tonight, I don't know. I'm sure you gentlemen kept up with yesterday's election, some of the results. And in the state of Georgia, there's a Senate seat where there's the incumbent, I believe it's Raphael Warnock, Democrat, up against Herschel Walker, Republican. Now, somehow, unfortunately, Stacey Abrams lost her governor's bid in that state yesterday as well. Now, all of it, and remember, in 2020, Georgia helped win the election. It was blue. But all of a sudden, there's going to be a runoff for this Senate position. And my question on the good, bad, or ridiculous is Raphael Warnock not as qualified as we were all led to believe? Or could it be that Republicans are just that greedy to get a seat? And in a sense, they're playing the race card so that they can, try to say that they are mixing and mingling as everyone should, and just using him as a puppet. And the people have been, that confused, because it was, honestly, I don't know who had the most votes, but neither had 51%. So they're going to have a runoff, I believe, December 6th.
It's 50% plus one, and neither one of them have 50% plus one.
Okay.
And since I'm talking, I can start it
Go
off.
ahead.
And it's not my views on being a Republican or Democrat. My views is from the standpoint of Herschel. And I've asked this serious question: what does Herschel Walker bring to the table? Because he's standing for abortion, but he's paid ladies a few times for abortion. He's even said, "I don't know what I'm doing." And so for someone to stand up and say, "I don't know what I'm doing," and he comes across as being a little less than qualified for the role, it's people voting for him because of what you said could possibly be a puppet. They just want that seat, and they do not want a Democratic to have it, because he's not originally from Georgia. If I understand correctly, they moved him across the United States to put him in there, and the optic says it was to have a black face to go against another black face. And so you can play that race card to the benefit of, are we supporting black people? And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's the optics. Don't know if that's the case, but for him to move across the country to be put in Georgia and stand up and say, "I don't know what I'm doing," he fumbles words, he fumbles understanding, and just that alone doesn't show me he's qualified to be any position of government. Not saying he could not get there, but at this point he is not. And for me, is a vote for a party and not for the person's qualification. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, just one thing I want to let you know, Lil John. Now, he is originally from Georgia. He probably wasn't living there, but I'm just want to
Right,
be impartial. That is
right,
one thing. He's born and raised in Georgia,
right,
but
right. a,
yeah,
a real part of Georgia, but he wasn't originally living there, so he had moved back.
up until he wanted to run for office. I
Right.
agree. I agree. JP, your take.
I really don't have a lot to say about that whole Herschel. I didn't take him seriously as a candidate. He was like a joke. Um, I, of course, I don't like the hypocrisy of, you know, paying for abortions, but being, anti-abortion. And I struggled with him in being anti-abortion. He does not agree with abortions under any circumstances. And so, which includes instances where you have incestuous child molestation, and a young girl who has become impregnated as a result of incestuous child abuse, she would not be able to get an abortion. And so I struggled with that. I'm actually kind of shocked that it was even that it's even a close race. because I thought that everybody else was seeing him as a buffoon, but apparently, like Johnny Quick is saying, he was able to get votes because he's a Republican, and Republicans, a person can be a buffoon. I mean, they put a buffoon in the White House, so I think it's kind of ridiculous that we live in a society where anybody can get elected regardless of whether or not they are qualified, just based solely upon, okay, they are a member and representative of this particular political party, so we are going to put them in office. They're an idiot, but we're going to put them in there and hope that we can control them and all of their idiotic fumblings around. So that's my thoughts on it.
Mr. Coleman?
JP be cracking me up. JP be dismissive. You be dismissive as hell. You be like, he's stupid. Fuck it. I don't even want to talk about it. That'd be cracking me up. So this is my thing. I disagree with John and JP. I think it's great. And the reason that I say that is because we have to wake up, right? What Gerald laid out to us was really, and I don't know Gerald's political affiliation at all. I've never even asked. But if I was listening to that, what I would tell you is he almost laid out the Democratic platform. And what I mean by that is the Democratic platform is well built and well rounded. It is to address all the inefficiencies of our systems and those who are lower income, lower opportunity, and things of that nature. And that's what the Democratic platform does. This is the brilliancy of the Republican Party, in my opinion. The Republican Party understands that people in America, in many cases, vote singular issues. So they are singular candidates. They are candidates who say they are against abortion, which brings in your evangelicals, regardless of the fact that you may have 25 divorces, paid for abortions, and all that stuff. As long as you say you're anti, that brings in the evangelical vote. You say that you are pro-guns, that brings in the Second Amendment voters, right? If you say that you are against any programs such as Medicare, Medicaid, that brings in that whole small government, federal government, strong state government crowd. So the Republican Party builds their platform on singular issues. And then what they do is they find people like Herschel Walker who will say, yeah, I'm against abortion. People need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and go buy your guns. I'm for you all day. And when they do that, when they hit on those singular items, they bring in three separate contingencies that don't even like one another. And they all vote in blocks, right? They're like, oh, this, like me for particular, and for sake, I'm like, oh, this person, they may be for all the programs I want, but they're what they would call pro-life. So that's a candidate I can't support, right? The Republicans get that candidate. They get all those votes because they don't look at the entire picture. They vote singular blocks, right? And that is the beauty of their platform. Herschel Walker, in my opinion, exemplifies that to the highest degree. When somebody brings out a fake badge and say, I'm a sheriff, and people will vote for it. When somebody has multiple abortions but tells you, you know what, hey, but I'm saved now, cut them abortions out. We ain't, you know what I'm saying? Shut the clinic down. We ain't doing no more abortions. He gets that vote, right? And then he turned around and said, "Go buy your guns." He gets that vote, and we will take those same singular issues and not vote for a candidate who may be qualified, but rubs us the wrong way on those one items, right? So in many cases, we either become indifferent or we vote for somebody we know who can't win. And the indifference is our issue because they want the fewer people who vote, the more Republicans win those elections. That's a given fact. That's why we're trying to limit the number of voters. And we will get turned off by a singular issue on a candidate. Republicans don't do that. They vote singular issues, right? So
Yeah.
Herschel Walker, is the best example that we can have of a candidate who is tailoring himself to singular issues and bringing himself up to go against Warnock, who has been in the Senate, won a special election, has been in the Senate, has been doing the job. This man, outside of football, I can't tell you one thing this man that does is date a lot of chicks and have some abortions.
He said his resume goes up against Obama any day.
Yeah, he's a liar. We all know that.
Who said that too?
That's
Herschel
what
Walker
Herschel
said
Walker
that. Yeah,
said. He said, match
he
my
said,
resume to Obama's and I'll come out ahead.
and President Obama was so smooth in how he addressed it. You know what I'm saying? He was like he was almost as dismissive as JP just was at that subject, where he was like, I don't even mess with peasants. I don't put my record out there. Y'all know
No.
what it is. And so it's just incredible that Republicans continue to win, and it's like we don't understand the formula. It's like Democrats don't understand the formula to fight against that machine. Uh, Continue to try to be this holistic, and when you really get down to it, it's almost hard for Democrats to win elections because they only win urban areas, large cities. But most states are
Yeah.
made up of rural areas, which is why these races are so competitive, which is why Georgia is in play right now. You know what I mean? So it's like either understand what the opposition is doing and make plans to try to combat that, or we're going to keep bending these struggles.
True.
Well, to me, I mean, it's asinine. I mean, of the 20th century election, like in the beginning, the Republican candidate went. Everybody thought it was a joke. What his campaign was based, and then he kept beating
He thought
the
it was
chumps that. Right, and then even when he had the Republican nod, he really didn't think he was going to win at Democratic campaign. Then he did some more crazy shit and looked even more stupid. But it gets to what Coleman said: in certain pockets of people, he fed on hate, and that brought him out of woodwork, roaches with the lights on.
But this is the thing.
That's what they're doing. Actually, I was watching one of the election shows last night, and the Republican representative lady, she said she's actually campaigned for Herschel, and that she was one of Trump's campaign people. So basically, like you said, they have a game plan, and they go out there, they find they sucker, that familiar face, someone famous from that area from his days of playing football in high school and college in Georgia. You know,
and
like you said, he and then he provides the buffoon. You know,
and see the other thing is they know how to signal the racist counterpart, because if you check out DeSantis when after he won, he's like, we put the woke people to bed, and the woke, I don't like the term, but it's affiliated with the African American culture, that and critical race theory. So when they drop
mm,
those little bombs, they get in other pockets because like, oh, you're against black people. So yeah, let me get behind this, because they're associated with liberals, but they tend to really say it in code to mean black people.
You know, for me, and I just want to add one more thing. I think we had to be careful in how we discuss
Yeah,
politics
true.
because you look at, and I'm gonna hit on Hillary Clinton real quick. Hillary Clinton and what they did with her comments when they tried to make woke statements. You look at how they turned that against her,
Yes.
and again, it became a singular issue. I'm blue collar. She called me stupid, so I am going to vote for him. Right? You look at what Bill Clinton did when he walked on that tarmac and got Loretta to come on his and talk. You don't think Bill didn't know what
Mm-hmm.
that was? She had sabotage
Mm-hmm.
within her own campaign. This shit was the perfect storm, bruh, of political sabotage. Hillary was put in a situation where she could. Do you realize by walking up on Hillary, he either said, "You either gonna be strong enough for white men not to vote for you, or you gonna come off as an angry bitch so nobody likes you." Do you realize that
Mm-hmm.
that was the bubble he put her in, right? When Trump won Hillary, what he did was put her in a position and said, if you defend yourself, you're gonna come off like a bitch, so no white man will want to vote for you because you're not passive enough. And if you
Mm-hmm.
come off and you don't do anything and you retreat, I mean, he put her in a bubble. And then Bill went out there and talked to them people on the tarmac and in another bubble where they're saying, oh, you see, they're playing favorites. This is the elites, right? Donald
Mm-hmm.
Trump has never worked in his entire life. And
No.
he made Hillary Clinton come off as an elite. You think about that, bro?
Oh
I
yeah,
mean,
you're right.
do you see the brilliance of that damn plan? And every time we're dismissive of why they vote for anyway, it's not even famous, folks. You look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. This trick is buffoonery stupid.
Oh yeah.
Lorena Bobbitt out of Colorado. I don't even know if she passed kindergarten. It's not just famous people. They go get
Not at
buffoons
all.
who understand the platform. And every time we dismiss them, every blue coal worker in America goes and votes for them. So we have to be more careful in how we speak about. Uh, John said something several weeks ago. Was making the difference between people who are unintelligent and something. And I can't remember the exact way he termed it, but we have to be careful in how we speak about this class of people because you lose them based on language.
Mm-hmm.
Politics is such a finicky thing, you know what I'm saying? And we don't play finicky well as a community. And because we don't play finicky well, and because we are dismissive of stupidity, and I mess with John about that all the time. John ain't stupid, you know, because we're dismissive of it because we're like, even stupid can identify stupid, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to realize that stupid is a voting block.
Mm-hmm.
That is another voting block, and we are forfeiting a voting block based
Right.
on
Because
language.
Hillary called him deplorable.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
but Trump even stood up and said, I like uneducated people voting for me.
But he called him uneducated. He didn't call him stupid. He didn't use buffoonery because they realize they're uneducated. They realize they're blue
Mm-hmm.
collar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, but here's the thing. It's not just, yeah, he taps into blue collar workers, but the people who really relate to him, because Coleman, what you're saying makes so much sense. He really taps into not just the blue collar workers, because there are many blue collar workers who are intelligent, knowledgeable. He
Right.
taps into the lowest levels of society, like
Mm-hmm.
the most ignorant, primitive, backwoods. I'm not necessarily, and I know what you're saying, Coleman, is when we use these terms to describe village idiots, we lose the votes of village idiots. But what the Trump knows that he's a village idiot. He
Hmm.
knows that he has
He can relate.
publicly revealed himself to not know basic history that a third grader knows about the history of the country. I think at one point he didn't even know certain territories were U.S. territories. Like
Puerto
Yes,
he
Puerto
Rico.
Rico.
he knows that he's stupid enough to tap into that segment of the population, and they vote for him because he represents that even someone who is utterly primitive, a Neanderthal,
You
can
call them
rise.
that. You can't call them. See, that's what run them.
Right.
That's what run them away. Call them primitive and
Yes,
Neanderthal.
and that's what I'm saying.
You
But
should have said
Coleman is
on the
right.
same
Coleman is
education
right.
level. No, you should
Yes,
have just said that they are on the same education level as he is, so they
yes.
feel comfortable with him.
And
That
that's
is much a
listen,
much
but
better
that's
way to
Coleman's
say that.
point. Yes, Coleman's point is that Democrats
I'm
running for
anti
office.
anything that's anti.
Hold on. Coleman's point, and you're agreeing, is that the mistake of Democrats running for office is that they are calling it as it is, pointing out that, for example, these races are a primitive bunch, okay? And pointing that out does cause them to even further relate to someone who is just as primitive as them, because he represents that, hey, we can all get ahead in America. Because I'm barely spelling my name right. He can barely spell his name, but he ended up in the White House. So we have to support him because finally we're not being overlooked. But what they fail to realize, because they're ignorant and stupid, is that he's not truly for them. None of his policies will benefit those who are living in poverty, living out, just your average backwoods races are not financially truly going to benefit from his policies. Okay. You got to be making at least $300,000-$400,000 a year to benefit from his
But
policies. But
that's
You
not true.
can't just call people racist. You can't be calling people racist without having valid proof. That's wrong.
well, and
So can I add something
yes,
real quick?
those running for office, but I'm not running for office. See, I can keep it to
No,
the
you
real.
can't say that either.
Coleman's point is, if you are running for office, running against a primitive beast like Donald Trump, you have to choose your words carefully so that you do not isolate yourself or alienate yourself from his people. Because his people are going to vote for him regardless of the fact that they don't make enough money to benefit from his policies. And
Well,
we know that it's stupid, but they're too stupid to know that it is stupid. And you
but this is
can't
the
point
thing.
out stupidity
But this is the
if you're
thing.
running
It's
for
not
office.
just it's no, it's not just people who run for office, it's people who support the people who run for office. Because every
Thank
time they
you.
come out and they hear us say it, then they say, yeah, you're part of the elite. And you are because you're educated. Now, I want to correct one thing, and I'm glad you called me on this, JP. I said blue collar workers, right? And that was wrong because my father was a blue collar worker and he was the most intelligent man that I've ever met, right? And this is the mistake that we make is because I know that if my father was listening to this call or this podcast, that he would understand that I didn't mean him in the blue collar sense. I meant the people that JP is hitting on, right? But because we don't often make that language distinction. Now we get a whole group of people together. But JP, I would also say again, our language as supporters of people is what gets our candidate deemed as elite or whatever the case may be. So we, as their supporters, because every
We
candidate, the
can
first thing
ruin
they
it
talk
for
about,
them.
we can ruin them for them because the first is a grassroots campaign. You've never heard a candidate who said, "No, I don't have a grassroots campaign. I'm supported by the money over in the city." Everybody talks about they have grassroots campaign. So the people who are door knockers would be us. So when they tune in and they hear us talking about buffoonery and all these things, the first thing they do is, "See, I told y'all they was stupid, right?"
Mm.
And then that further alienates them and moves them to Fox News, right? The key is not getting them to necessarily vote another way, but at least get them to listen to MSNBC to get a varying opinion. When all they listen to is America One and Fox News and things of this nature, it goes from ridiculous to more ridiculous to this shit don't make no sense. And if that's all you hear, that's how you vote. You know what I'm saying? And I know this one will get LV, even gun rights. President Obama never said, "I wanted to take your guns." He did say we need to limit my semi-automatic because it would kill people at various levels. But on the Republican side, they continue to sell the message he wants to take your gun,
Uh,
right?
But that's just
They don't tell the story. They don't tell the
they don't
story
tell.
because the story is not
that's
helpful.
manipulation and dishonesty.
Exactly. But you got to listen to the way we speak about guns, right? Because they don't listen to President Obama, they listen to us. And they listen to us talk about there's no need to have these guns. We don't see why they have no need to have. We don't see why they have. To
Wrong
them
words.
signals we're going
You
to
want to get
take
rid
all the
of
guns.
because see, that's where
They
you
just
going
trying
to
to
start.
start at the yeah, they just trying to start
That's
at
where you
the
going to
ARs. They
start.
trying to get
Start
all the
there.
guns. And our language supports their narrative. Now, does this has to be something that we see as logical? No, it doesn't. It has to be something, and let me step back. We had a computer program on our computers at work one time where it would grade the level that you were writing at. So you could write something and it would tell you this is written at a first year college level or fourth grade high school level. And the key was trying to write a professional letter at a sixth grade level. Because at the time, sixth grade was the average completion of education in the United States when
Mm-hmm.
you're taking all the rural areas. So writing at a sixth grade level is a level that everybody can understand. So
That's the same thing in journalism
even
school, bro.
buffoonery, yeah, even buffoonery is beyond their level of understanding and speaks of elite. We need to understand that as a voting bloc because we are losing, again, singular issues. We're not losing campaigns, we're losing singular issues. And with the singular issue goes the campaign. Because we're thinking as long as we build a platform that addresses all these levels of people, they should be good. But it's not good because I'm anti abortion or I'm pro gun rights. Singular issue. I'm against JP said I'm an idiot. He can't read and I'm inbred.
And
Statism.
actually, here's what y'all are saying. Y'all are making a really good point that I really hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about. Last week, what I was saying is that the root of hate is fear and insecurity about what that group can accomplish, the fear that that group is going to take something from the majority. Okay. And so when it comes to racism, if racism is rooted in a fear of what Black people have the potential to accomplish or have accomplished, then when we use terms like buffoonery, calling them idiots, saying they're ignorant, they're primitive, they just started, you know, they're, yeah, I think on a previous show, I did say that their parents were siblings. And
You called them inbred.
Yeah,
you didn't. You didn't
their
say their
parents,
parents were siblings. You called them
their parents,
inbred.
yeah, I did. And so when we do that, we actually increase the level of racism because we at that point get categorized as uppity black folks, and a racist hates intelligent, educated, uppity black folks. And so it does become counterproductive if we use verbiage and words like verbiage, if we use words and terms that present us as being what they fear the most, educated,
So,
intelligent black people, and it increases the level of racism. But how do you not do it?
so my response is this. First of all, as soon as you say it, they have a fear, da da da. First of all, I'm not scared of shit. These black people only got shit because I gave them shit, and then they're being politically moved ahead of me through affirmative action, which is giving them my spot in school. The reason I'm less educated than them because they stole my spot. They didn't get it because they were qualified. So everything that we gave, everything that they have, we gave them. And again, I ain't got fear of shit. Lost your whole point, right?
I still think that it's rooted in fear.
No, no, no. And my point isn't that it's not. My point is that when we start talking about fear, how do people respond to language? And as soon as I hear fear, one of the first, this is even in the hood, one of the first things I tell you is, I ain't scared of shit. Let's roll,
Mhm.
right? Even though I don't know what your fear is talking about. So I'm not disagreeing with you. My response is, if I was inbred, if my mom and daddy was siblings, I would be responding to your thing talking about my fear and all of these things, right? That's my
Right,
response to it. And that
right,
visceral response now, like you said, and I'm agreeing with you, creates another level of hate and racism now
right,
that we're not even familiar with. Because that racism is being bred on the fact that they think that your uppityness, you being able to speak about verbiage and all these things, is actually based on a premise that isn't allowing me to go to school because you stole my spot through affirmative action, even though you're less qualified. So everything that you have, I either gave you or you stole from me. And again, I'm not scared of shit. I'll meet you in the middle of the street.
right. Because you just an uppity N word.
Right.
right. And so
So I'm
one of the
agreeing.
things that Obama was hugely successful at is not coming across in a manner where he alienated those from those primitive levels of our society. Like he
I disagree with you.
was relatable. He was
I
relatable.
disagree with you.
Still in high school.
You don't
They
think he was
they weren't
relatable?
voting either. They weren't voting either. Because
He's relatable
honestly,
to you.
I think he was able to get many more blue collar voters than Hillary Clinton got because he was
Oh yeah, that's
relatable.
no,
that
I
wasn't
don't know
hard
if it
to do.
was just so listen to this. Did you realize that the swing vote that Hillary lost to Trump was the same margin that voted for Obama?
And
Which
helped him win
means
by a large margin.
the same people that voted for Obama turned around and
And
voted for
voted for
Trump.
Right.
So I
And
don't
that's
think
what I'm
I don't
saying. I think part of it is
necessarily
because
I
he
don't
was relatable.
no
Some of it was because she's a
he's
woman.
relatable. He's relatable to you because you are a college grad. You're highly intelligent. You speak the King's English to a degree that a lot of people don't speak. Yeah, he was relatable to you. He was relatable to a lot of us. But even when you talk about people in the hood, right? Black people who voted for Trump. Even when you talk, and well, Kodak Black is different, but because Trump pardoned him, he called him Uncle Trump last week.
Mm.
Said we can't vote for Kanye, we should vote for Uncle Trump because Trump pardoned him. But relatable is tied back to our own position. You know, when I listen to President Obama, I mean, I think the man is a great orator.
Yes.
But I don't know if my kids understand him. And some of these people that we're talking about have the same educational level as my children.
Mm. Okay. Well, that's a good
Who John over there talking to?
Oh, I said he was called uppity at one time.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I stole that piece from you, Larry. I know you was ready to transition, but that's a soapbox issue for me.
LV, I think he's having a technical difficulty. Okay, while we waiting
It's
on
Pimpalicious is frozen.
Why he's frozen, but he's frozen in a good position. He's in full like pimp pose right there.
You know what I'm saying? He got his blue blockers on front.
I you too. I'm gonna get y'all motherfuckers.
You heard him. You heard us.
Ooh,
Pimpalicious was froze.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, y'all hear me now? I heard all that bullshit you motherfuckers was saying, okay? I heard every last fucking word.
Pimpalicious
was
froze.
Oh my God.
And I heard it, and he's frozen. He froze. Oh, he's got his blue blockers on.
Yeah, Pimpalicious was doing this.
He was determined he was gonna cuss us out for something.
You know, but you know, I have a quote from a very peaceful person that I like to.
He's doing poems and quotes.
This is a good night, okay? LB is on it.
You know, the quote is, "The weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong." And I want to take that into what we got on the end of last week as far as the that word, because I think that word is just anyway. And let me say this before I say anything else. I am not against anybody. I am not anti-Semitic. Yes, I can say the word if I want to say the word for real, but I am not anti-Semitic. I do not believe in anybody that has any of those beliefs. But my issue with it is how it receives much more attention, and you have to be even more sensitive towards anything that is considered that. I was enlightened by someone to tell me what the opposite is for other people, because Jewish people are not a race, it's a religion. So that's why I guess they developed their own special term. And for anybody else, when it's considered race, it would be racism. So, but I don't even really want to go into what is, what ain't, but I would like to really delve into the whole situation with Kyrie Irving. You may not agree with how he behaves, even if you want to say he had an assholeish attitude when questioned on the post that he put on his media. And I have had my arm twisted and my leg damn near broke to say that because he has such a large following that you could label it as promotion. But when he states that I in no way posted this to incite anything against any people, I don't have anything against them. And when people get mad for him to say, I didn't write it, it's not on my platform that's being promoted, and other people are making money off of it because it's out there. But no one is saying anything about those people. That wasn't good enough. Now the situation, you have him where I agree with the suspension because he should have put the proper terms if he wanted to post that to state that he didn't agree with everything that was in that film, that it had inaccuracies, and that it in no way that he followed the guy that did it, because he's done other things that are just totally preposterous. But in my eyes, I'm seeing this as a modern day buck breaking with him because of all the things that they're trying to say that he has to do in order to play basketball again. When he didn't do anything malicious, but because he didn't say, I'm sorry, because that's how you wanted him to say it. He apologized, but just not saying, I apologize. He never said he was anti-Semitic. So why do you have to come back and say, I am not anti-Semitic, to where it spills over to his teammates when they can say, yeah, I didn't support what he did, but then they have to double back and make another statement. Just for the record, in case you didn't understand, no, I am not anti-Semitic. Why do you have to be so kid gloves and keep them in the pamper and have the powder and everything when it comes to something like that? That's what I don't understand. And I don't understand what the uproar specifically is with him. So whoever wants to jump out there on the diving board and jump in with me, go ahead.
Yeah, you know this about the. He's sitting over there rolling his eyes and all kind of shit.
Well, here's my question.
And think about the quote that I said at the beginning, before I started.
Here's my question.
What else?
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions that I do not understand. One is, would you excuse it if a white man did it? If a white man posted something, hold on, let me finish. If a white man posted something that was racist, but then posted it and then said, well, I don't agree with the parts about, running out and, that black folks are inferior or that black folks, I don't agree with that. I just agree with part of it. The question is, why post something in its entirety if you only agree with parts of it anyway? Because when you post something, you are making a statement that you are in agreement and supportive of it in its entirety. And
no,
I have
it does.
with famous people.
No, that does not mean that. That's how you perceive it. And it's too many people that are closed-minded, and that's all they want to jump on.
But isn't that
because they're afraid to post?
Can I step in? Can I step in real quick?
He didn't say,
hey, bro,
I'm only
step in
agreeing
real
with
quick?
this part. I'm not agreing with that part.
And
he posted.
Okay, but you missed what I said at the beginning.
JP, give me a second. LV.
He should have stated that. Posted it.
Can I get
Go
a
ahead.
second? I think we all know this is a passionate issue. One of the things that makes us work is the fact that we talk in complete sentences. And we're going to have to let the next man talk in a complete sentence. Otherwise, it's just all talking over each other, because you both have some valuable information and points of view that you're trying to get off. But this is going to be one of those issues that we really got to make sure that we saying, you know what, let's hear this out in its entirety before I respond. And then we also are going to have to make sure that we don't, and this is pointing towards me, that I don't try to give a dissertation.
I have short-term memory loss, so when shit hit my mind, I gotta address it and then I'll jump back out. I'm sorry.
Write it down. Write it down.
Take notes.
I didn't take notes in college. I had a recorder. I can't play the recorder back and then say this shit. I know my learning
Here's
level. I know my learning style.
okay. Can I just finish? I struggle with this the same way I struggle with black folks who say that they support Donald Trump because they believe in some of his policies, but they overlook the fact that he has been an active racist in his business practices, that he is a sex offender, he's committed sex offenses, but you have females who support him because they believe in this policy or that policy, and they overlook these other major character flaws. I struggle to believe that anybody can post something in its entirety, not clarify, hey, I'm only posting it for this piece. I do not agree with that piece. Okay, you post it in your entirety, but then when you get backlash, then you step back after your handlers have talked to you and let you know, okay, you about to get canceled. Oh, I'm about to lose money. Okay, I don't agree with the anti-Semitic parts of this. I just posted it because I agree with this. I struggle with that, and it seems insincere when people are apologetic only after they are being held financially accountable. Don't
Uh,
post something if you don't agree with it in its entirety. Find your own words as opposed to using someone else's words that you then later have to apologize for using their words. If he had something that he needed to say, he should have had the intelligence to speak it and put it in his own words, as opposed to posting something that later insulted and caused pain to an entire group of people. I think
JP.
we have to think about the fact that if you
What
post
did you say,
something
John? Go
I
ahead.
just want
if
to
you
drop these two
post
points.
something that causes harm to other people, that's a problem, and people should be held accountable for that. So I
I'm
don't
gonna
feel
drop these.
sorry for him that he's experiencing the consequences that he's experiencing because he was totally unapologetic prior to losing money.
That right there, I want to stop you on that. He doesn't care about the money. He's already said, "I'll retire." He doesn't need the money, so it's not about money where he's changing his thoughts. So if you're saying he's only backpedaling because of money, it's not that in this case. The
I
other thing
believe
that I
he's
want to
saying that, but that ain't what his actions showed. It's easy to say you don't care about the money, okay? But the bottom line is he didn't give a damn until he started losing money. So, regardless of what he says, it's bullshit what he says. The
no,
bottom line is he posted it, and he posted it in its entirety. That's the
okay,
bottom line. And I struggle with us as African Americans wanting to give a free pass to a black person, but if a white person turned around and did the same thing against us, we wouldn't be giving them a pass.
Nobody
now
said he deserves a free pass.
Now, the other thing that I want to say that you said when you post things, you align with it. There's a lot of things that get posted every day that everyone disagree with some aspect of it. So you can't make a general statement by saying people will take us at some point if we go viral. Some people are going to take exception to some of the things that have been said on our podcast. And I've even said I disagree with some things, but that's not going to be what the message is. And so you could say that a person when they posted it that they agree with everything in totality. If you look at different movies, if you post a movie and someone made this comment in the chat, if you post a movie and is brutality against women, but it's a funny movie, do you say that that person is in agreement with brutality of women? If you post something that has to do with someone's political views, what we were talking about earlier, and you were trying to express that, like we talking about Herschel Walker, and we said that some of the people with them are the lowest class of education, different things. People will take an exception to that, and does that explain in its totality the views and the comments that are being made? Because this podcast is going to be posted, so I'm gonna have to say I disagree with what was posted. Now, the way he's done it, I disagree with the way he um, he posted to a certain extent. The part that I disagree with is the energy that's coming for him is not the same energy that comes for other race of people when they go against racism. Yes, Judaism um, is a religion, and going after black people is a form of racism. But my thing is, it should be the same energy. The thing that I take exception for is because he did not say, I apologize the way they wanted him to say it. And then they say, you got to do all these different things to prove
Exactly.
your worth. Then that's where I take an exception. Do I agree with what he did? No. And your question is, if a white person did it, I would, I would not be okay with it. But when in the same breath, I'm not going to say, well, because you didn't come back, because I'm gonna be honest. If someone tells me, well, you got to do it this way, it wouldn't sit well with me. I would do it the way I want to do it. And if you take exception to the way I've come back and apologize, or you take exception because I didn't follow your path to get to the resolution, but I got it resolved, then that's going to be an issue. And I think that's what people are having an issue with. They're not.
Oh, damn. I hate we lost John. He was giving a lot of good nuggets. Um, and to kind of on the same line as what he was saying, it doesn't matter um, whether it's black or white, but you don't see it when this racism, and you don't see that same energy of you have to do this, you have to do that. And the thing is, the man apologized, but like I said, he didn't say I'm sorry. He didn't come out and say no, I am not. He didn't come out and say I am not. I'm not anti-Semitic. He never said he was anti-Semitic. By posting that did not mean that he was. Where he went wrong when he made the initial post, he should have stated there are things in here that I do not agree with, and maybe even pointed those out. Okay, but my thing is, it should be bigger than just him posting it because it's out there on a platform where people are generating dollars, and no one has made any uproar that it's still out there. There hasn't been anything, no uproar or any campaign to have it pulled down because people are making money from it. And a lot of people are making money from it from everywhere, all over the world, all nationalities. Because it boils back to money, but they don't want a black man to be able to stand up and say, this is what I think. I don't care that I'm against the grain. He's always been against the grain. I mean, the man thinks that the world is flat. Okay? But he's entitled to that because that's the way he thinks. That's not harming anybody. And he didn't say, I mean, it's not like he's preaching hate. He didn't try to incite any type of riot, any type of violence against any particular people. But that's the way it was perceived. And once again, because he didn't apologize the way they wanted to hear it, now it's a big problem. Now, has he done a lot of other things that are questionable that maybe this now they try and in a sense, it's like they're trying to punish him for everything he has done, including on this one. And John, I'll let you go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Okay, what I was saying was,
Can't hear you, bro. Your mute's on. Take your mute off.
I can hear him. You
I
can't hear
hear.
him.
okay, can you hear me?
LB, you don't want to can't hear him.
What I was saying was that because the method they're having him follow the exact protocol that they see and deem fit, that's the part I take issue with. Is because you didn't come out and say I against the treatment of Jews, then that means he because even during one of his interview, he said, knowing my background, no, I could never be against Jews. Is because he didn't say I'm against this movie, I'm against this, and that's where they took issue with because he didn't say excuse me, he didn't say it exactly the way they wanted. So they've given him these lists of things how he should act, and that kind of goes back to, if you want to, that slave mentality. You gonna conduct yourself the way we tell you to conduct yourself for you to be accepted, and that's where I take issue. Yes, what he said was wrong. What he said and what he did is wrong. But for him to make amends the way you want him to make amends, did he apologize? That should be the thing that we go for. Yes, he apologized. Did he do all these different things that you want him to do? Yes, but you're worried so much about, did he do it the way I wanted him to do it? And that's the part that I take issue with, because you're trying to put that, and it's called
Bug
uh,
break.
thank you, bug breaking, because it's a sense of, I'm going to show the rest of them I got him in control, and if he does what I say he does, y'all fall in line. So, and that's where I take issue with the whole thing, is bug breaking, because back in slavery, you get the strongest one, you beat them down in front of everyone, and everyone will fall into place, and that's kind of where I take issue with. You're trying to break him down publicly, not in behind the scenes. Say, hey, can you do this, that, and other? Because it makes me go back to Colin Kaepernick, because he pointed out, I'm not doing anything that's wrong. And see, there people took issue with him taking a knee and said that was wrong. That was separating the military. This is doing that and other. He said that's not. Matter of fact, someone from the military told me this is the best way to show them honor. But still, people took issue with it because he didn't come up and follow the protocol they wanted him to follow. And so that's where I take issue with.
I think it's a waste of time to debate how a person apologized when it's a forced apology. It's a fake ass apology regardless. So I don't even spend any time thinking or debating the issue of, well, he didn't apologize the way it doesn't matter if it's a forced apology being delivered under pressure, regardless of how he would have given it. The timing is what matters. If a person is delivering their apology before they are under pressure, that comes across as a sincere apology. It was after the pressure, and yeah, I can agree. It is stupid to say, well, you need to apologize this way or apologize that way, but I'm trying to figure out why nobody is willing to say, who gives two shits how he apologizes? It's under pressure. And here's my
Joe,
other point.
when would have been the
Yeah,
I
appropriate time for him to
disagree that,
apologize?
hold
When
pressure.
on,
would have been
let
the
me let
appropriate
me
time for him
finish.
to apologize?
I disagree that we can liken someone posting our show and not agreeing with all of it, because we are four individuals with four different perspectives. We debate topics. A person can post our show in its entirety and easily say, well, I was relating to what LV was saying, or I was relating to what Coleman was saying. Sometimes I will intentionally give an opposing viewpoint to be sure that we cover as many viewpoints as possible for our listeners. When you post something that is in any way discriminatory, racist, bigoted in any way, you need to accept responsibility for clarifying, I do not support this aspect of this. If you're going to post something in its entirety, I don't agree with posting it in its entirety when you can post a clip of something as opposed to posting it in its entirety. So it's about what's posted. We have to be responsible for what we post, and famous people need to accept responsibility for the fact that just because they say I'm not a role model and da 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 da, you don't get to choose to be a role model. If you are famous and people follow you and people look up to you and subscribe to what you are saying, there's a level of responsibility that goes along with that. And when you are recklessly posting something that insults humiliates or harms an entire group of people, there is something wrong with that. It would be
When did he
something
start
wrong with it
taking?
if somebody did it against black folks. It's something wrong with it if somebody does it against Jews or Hispanics or whoever the group is.
So is it
When you
wrong
say
that it's available on a platform? And that the fact that it is available on a platform, once again, no one has said anything about the platform that it's available on or said that they need to have it pulled down. So,
That,
or,
I don't agree with that either.
no, hold on. Shouldn't they have that same level of responsibility that you were saying that he should as an individual because he has a large following? They have even a larger following than he does because they provide it.
Can
Actually,
I
they
can I
don't. But
hold
I
on? Can I
agree.
speak
They
on
should
that
be
real
under
quick?
fire too. So hold them
Can I speak?
accountable.
Can
It's
I speak on that real
society that
quick?
needs to hold them accountable.
Go ahead, Coleman.
This is the problem: is that we're talking about this as if it is a race or religion issue, and it's not.
And I'm not saying that. I'm not putting it
No,
on race or
I'm not
religion.
saying. No, I'm not saying that you're saying that implicitly. I'm saying that is the conversation. We're saying
Mhm.
when this happens to this race, this is the backlash on it. I'm sorry, to this religion, this is the backlash. Why come when this happens to this race, there's not a similar backlash? And in totality, I do not disagree with that. I understand that
Right.
sentiment. My problem with the argument, even when we start talking about what's on this platform, why come nobody's talking about pulling it down? This isn't about race. This isn't about religion. This is about power.
Right.
And so now, when we're looking at it from that perspective, we have to look at a couple of dynamics in that. One is I'm an employee. There's certain shit I cannot say about my employer, to my employer, or to the people who help my employer stay in business. There are certain things because even though it's not stated, that is part of the code of conduct. The code of
Hmm.
conduct is intentionally vague so that when you step out, I can reel you back in. Now, when you look at Kyrie, in all actuality, Kyrie took the money. And in taking the money, Kyrie said, I will follow a code of conduct. Kyrie is outside of the code of conduct because he is impacting a group of people, the power structure that pumps money in to pay him. So Kyrie is outside of the code of conduct and he is going to be reeled back in. And I agree with JP on this point. Did he apologize? Yeah, but there were several. The first time he had a chance to apologize in that news, I mean, Tori went toe for toe with that reporter. Then he had another opportunity when they said, are you anti-Semitic? And he talked his way around it. And instead of addressing it directly. And so there are a lot of things, and you can like it or dislike it. The fact of the matter is, there is a code of conduct. When you look at the NFL, it's the same thing. Their policy is vague. So anything these cats do, they can
Yeah.
reel them in, and them cats are bound by it because they took the money. Code of Kyrie is bound by that same code of conduct as he took the money, and he is an employee. When you look at the crazy dude, he is an employee. My problem is that there is a difference between a boss and a manager. A
Hmm.
boss owns shit. You cannot come out and make boss statements, post boss shit on your platform, and do boss shit if you are a manager. Kyrie is a manager of his lifestyle and money. He's fucking with bosses, and bosses are going to retaliate. And whether you like the way they retaliate or not, because the fact of the matter is they are still the boss. If I go in to my job tomorrow and do what Kyrie did, I will be calling you all, asking y'all to help me with my mortgage payment because I am outside of the code of conduct with the power structure. That's the problem. Now, the comparison is saying, I mean, because we all know there are black Jews.
Yes.
They're white Jews.
Yes.
So when we all talk about, well, why come when something happens to the Jewish community, first of all, you got to go back because they've been persecuted since they killed Jesus.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to turn this even
Hold
to a
on.
biblical,
That's anti-Semitic for you to say they did that.
it is.
No, it's
They can
But
not.
the
say
facts are the facts. You can read,
anti-Semitic,
but you can read the
No, it's
Bible.
not.
But this is the other thing. This
but
is the
that's
other
what
thing
I'm
that is the.
saying. You
That's
But this is
not
the struggle.
considered anti-Semitic.
This is the
when you
struggle with
stay fact,
anti-Semitism. This is the struggle with anti-Semitism, right? And I saw this in a clip and I had never thought about it because it gets back to something JB said a couple of calls ago when he talked about the way we view certain communities, right? If you tell black people y'all poor and stuff like that, we like, oh, that's racist. But it's anti-Semitic if we tell Jews, well, they make a lot of money, right? So I get your point, LV. I'm not trying to dismiss it. It's hard for me to even conceptualize anti-Semitism because some of the very things that they say are anti-Semitic are the opposite of what we view as being good. If they tell black people, ooh, JP know how to make a lot of money. John know how to make a lot of money. He an economic major. We like, yeah, he balling. If you were Jewish, that can be viewed as anti-Semitic. So I get your point, LB. But the fact of the matter is, it gets back. Let's get away from that language and let's get back to the structure. Let's get back to who we take the money from. Am I outside of the code of conduct? And when we bring that into it, we start understanding that. Then I think it gets back to JP's point of we cannot offend any community, but I have to acknowledge what LV and John are saying is all right. But what is offensive? When do I know that I've crossed the line? And that's where I think the communication comes in. But the fact of the matter is, Kyrie took the money. Kyrie stood on it. And that's my thing. If somebody comes today and says, hey, William, we shutting down your Instagram, your Twitter, your Facebook, and all these things because of the things I said on the show tonight, I'm gonna stand on that, right? If
Mm-hmm.
if my job comes in then and says, hey, listen, you're about to lose your job because of last night's show, I'm gonna ask them who I need to apologize to. So I agree with JP. Kyrie never apologized until that pressure came. But I also understand that
no,
pressure
but
because I ain't trying to get no checks cut off either.
when he apologized in the beginning, bro, he just
No, he
didn't
didn't,
say
brother.
I'm sorry.
No, he didn't,
When,
brother. I've watched this story from the very beginning. No, he didn't.
No, he was an ass.
no, he was sitting down talking. No, he did not apologize. When they asked him the second time on the double down, and that's when he explained to him how he could not be. He said he was sorry. He did not put it out to offend anybody. He never said sorry. And that's the thing, because he never said, I'm sorry, I apologize. But I have watched other people view this, and there was a Jewish person in it. And he even admitted, like, okay, basically he said he was sorry without saying he was sorry. So the issue is here, that's because he didn't say it like that. I mean, and that's what it is. He's being a man. He's being his own man. He's
Well, if
standing
he's been
on
his
what he
own, or
believes.
if he's been his own man, you got to quit crying. You got to quit crying. You got to quit talking about they
Right.
cutting out my money. They doing it. If you standing on it, you got to stand on it. It's 10 toes. You
And-
can't stand on it and then be like, oh, but y'all trying to get me. That's not standing
Right.
on it.
But no,
Stand
but
by what you
okay,
said.
so just because the system's always been this way, does that mean it's right? You can't. I don't give a fuck if you are going against the boss when the shit is wrong. I mean, we're not in a position with our jobs where we
What is
can. If they
What's the
cancel
boss wrong about?
tomorrow, we
What is the
done.
boss wrong? What is the boss
If
wrong
I
about?
if I say one thing wrong on this show, one thing that is anti-Semitic or racist in any way, I could lose both of my licenses to practice psychotherapy. So, like Coleman is saying,
To lose.
like Coleman is saying,
You have the money.
you have to understand.
And
Hold
don't
on a minute, let me finish. As Coleman is saying,
understand.
everybody has to understand the level of responsibility that goes along with your profession, regardless of what it is.
Right.
And he spoke in a manner, or he posted something that went against that code of conduct. And here's something else that I want to point out, because I hear what y'all are saying, that it seems to be a double standard when it comes to some things that are said against one group of people, black folks. If it's said against a Jewish person, it's anti-Semitic. But let me give you an example. When it comes to, if you make the statement about Jews and their ability to make money, the negative stereotype is that they cheat people to make money, and that term Jude a person, because that was the term that it was originally used. And if y'all recall, Michael Jackson got in trouble back in the day for putting out a song where he said they Jewed me. It's not insulting saying that they make money. The insult is that they have a reputation for cheating people and being underhanded in order to make their money. That is the reason why those statements are considered anti-Semitic. We don't have a reputation of cheating people to get our money. So if somebody says that we make money, it is a compliment.
But I do have to make this one. I do have to make this one comment, because I don't want to be a socialized. Said that Jonathan's point was the double standard. I'm against anti-Semitic statements. I work for a company that I have to follow the code of conduct. So that's the reason why I never mention what company I work for on social media or anything, because I don't want people to associate what I say with the views of my organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, the boss man, what, even if I was the one that held the $2 billion lottery ticket, I don't want to lose that neither. So I would be very careful of what I say. But the point, and I want to make sure people understand, the point I was making is the double standard. Now, as far as what Kyrie did, I've said it was wrong. Now, as far as this sequence of apology, I'm not versed in knowing the order of apology. So I don't know if it was under pressure, if it was fake. It's not for me to call. I just said that my opinion is they're making him follow one method. But go with Coleman's statement that the boss man has a right to say, do it this way. Are you going to get cut off the check? I can see that, because we all have a code of conduct that we must follow. So I understand that point, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that my point is the double standard.
John got a new mortgage.
Well, yeah, I think John has said it all, and we've run a little long, but I just have one more quote that I'd like to end with. And I'm gonna tell y'all who these
quotes, when you get to the end of it.
I'm gonna tell y'all who these quotes came from the same individual. It says, "Be the change you wish to see in the world."
Gandhi.
Be the change you wish to see in the world. And in essence, I feel Kyrie is acting on the change he wishes to see. That you can be a man and stand on your own. And as long as you are not, maliciously affecting someone because you make a statement because they don't like it, you can't get canceled. You have a right to believe what you want to believe. But that shouldn't affect your right to earn in any way, shape, or form. It shouldn't. And because the system has always been, because boss man say this, that's almost a slave mentality. Shit, that's because it's always been that way. It can't never change. I ain't saying I'm in position to buck the system, but if you are in a position where you can't buck it and you feel you can handle the financial downfall that it's gonna put you under, stand up and be yours. Because there are a few. Eventually, there'll be a few more, and eventually, maybe we will own things, and then that way we can be bosses, and have a voice on what's so sensitive and what isn't so sensitive, or just a level playing field. That's all I asked for. And I see you itching, Brother Coleman. You can go on. All y'all can say whatever the fuck y'all want to say. I done said my piece.
Well, before anyone say anything. Please note that all your comments, unfortunately, we couldn't get to everyone's comments because you see this is a heated subject, but your comments will be read and we'll probably respond in the comments line. But please understand your comments are being read, and like, share, and
Subscribe.
subscribe.
I love everybody. I just want an equal playing field. That's all.
This is my issue. Two things can be true at the same time. And walking away from this conversation, I don't feel like we're acknowledging that. I don't feel like we're acknowledging Kyrie's situation. And to me, once I turn to y'all, and once I turn to the public and be like, they treating me wrong, I'm not 10 toes down. Toes down is Muhammad Ali not fighting for 3 years because he was 10 toes down. It's Martin and all the things that he went through, is Malcolm and all the things that they went to. That's 10 toes down. When I am coming to the defense, and I say this to JP all the time when he talks about people, and I'd be like, shit, quit talking about it, be about it. Don't tell me you'll retire if you ain't retiring. Don't talk about you willing to walk away from 40 million if you ain't walking away from 40 million. And I don't try to get in nobody's pockets. But if I'm 10 toes down, if I'm willing to stand on this, if I'm willing to be a man about this, that means the repercussions that come with that are mine. Don't talk about you'll retire, you'll give up the money. This isn't about the money. Your ass is trying to play. You went up there and met with the commissioner trying to get this all taken care of. If you 10 toes down, tell the commissioner kiss your ass. Bounce. Again, not trying to get in somebody's pockets, but we can't throw this, he's a man and he's standing on manhood and all this stuff out there when that is not the case. JP, some of the things that you said were true about having the same considerations regardless of what the religion or the race are. I agree with that. Does the Black community in many cases not get the same level of support and some of those things? No, we don't. I agree with that. But there's some trails in here trying to connect these things where we're really getting off path. And that's what I take issue with, you know. But I thought it was a good conversation. JP is sitting over there. So I know LV's not here, but we're gonna go to John before we go to JP, because I got the feeling JP might explode before we get to him, and I want to see that on screen.
Oh, I have nothing else to add, so
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna yield my time to JP.
He's only yielding you 2 minutes, JP.
Okay. LV's not on here. But I want to say this. I disagree that it is slave mentality to conduct yourself in alignment with what the boss says has to be. I don't think it's slave mentality. I think that the boss has the right to say, if you work for my company, this is what my company stands for, this is what we represent, and this is what we don't stand for, and this is what we're not going to tolerate. So you either get in line with it or you get the hell on. I don't think it's slave mentality to, in agreeing to work for that company or to participate in that field, you are agreeing that you're going to be in alignment. Every boss has a right to say this is the way it is. As a therapist, entry-level therapists have to be under clinical supervision. When I supervise therapists, I explain to them, if you get sued for malpractice, I get sued for malpractice. So this the shit you ain't gonna do, because I'm basically the boss. So this is what you not gonna do, because you ain't gonna get us both sued. And if you do these things, you are fired. And if they are a black therapist, they're not having slave mentality for complying with what I'm saying. If they don't want to comply with what I'm saying, they need to get the hell on and work for somebody else, be under somebody else's license, under somebody else's supervision. So I don't think that's slave mentality. As far as the double standard, here's the thing. I don't think we should, I said this last week, I don't think we should compare our pain like, oh, black folks, this is our pain and this is Jewish community's pain. I think that as people who have suffered, we need to come together as opposed to being divisive and separating ourselves and pointing out, well, if somebody does this to black folks, it doesn't get this reaction and da 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 da. We're not going to move forward by separating ourselves from other groups who experience the same pain in America. That's counterproductive.
But at the same time, JP,
pain.
it's
That's
not
like
a comparison
person
to pain.
Who's a victim of domestic violence comparing their pain to somebody who is a victim of sexual abuse. It's like, no, there's no, my pain is worse than your pain, or why does your pain get this reaction and my pain doesn't? No, let's come together to overcome it.
And for me, you missed the target on that, because we're not saying this is a comparison of pain. We're saying in order to fight these things, look at the number of people that come to the aid of the Jewish community when things happen. Great. That is, we are now being victimized over here from whatever angle it is. We are now being victimized. We want that same level of support to back this issue, to make sure the people who are victimizing us or taking advantage of us or whatever the case may be are held responsible at the same level. It's not a comparison of pain. It's saying, if I can support yours, I can support that. But in turn, I want that same level of support when I go to war. That's not a comparison of pain. That is saying, if we're going to do what you're talking about, if we're going to support all groups and the victimization or whatever we want to term it, if we are all going to support that and we are all going to fight whatever it is, whatever the wrong is, if we are going to do that, when I go into battle, I need y'all to stand up and go to battle as well. I don't think that's a comparison of pain.
Well, I think there's a difference between saying we want the same level of support as this other group is getting. There's a difference between that and us turning against that group, because that is what happens. Is sometimes people, in saying, well, black folks, we don't get that level of support, but then for us to then have resentment against the Jewish community because they get more support, that's what I'm saying is counterproductive. I agree, we do deserve the same level of support that the Jewish community gets when someone lashes out against them. I'm absolutely in agreement with that. I'm even in agreement with LV that the actual makers of the video or the movie that he posted should be held fully accountable. I agree. I'm just saying that groups of people who have suffered in America do not turn against each other because one group is getting more support than your group.
When have they
and fight it together?
It's not that they're getting more support. It's that historically, when we as a community have been challenged, they haven't showed up.
That's it. When have they taken up us?
Are we talking about the Jewish community?
Yeah. Now, John, I know where you're going, because when you start talking about the NAACP and the marches and all that, the Jewish community were a large part of that. But also when you talk about who financed, no, they were up front. They financed it. They were up front. But also, when you talk about who financed slavery,
it was the Jewish community.
Right. So they've played both sides of this thing to a certain degree, and that's a whole nother discussion that we can have.
Time periods too. We're talking about two different time periods, because
no, not really. We're talking about current America, because we're talking about current day, because the The system of slavery is a system. Who
Right.
finances the financial system now?
Right.
And in large part, the Jewish community. So
Who will pay for
am I?
reparations? That's another
And,
argument.
and so I'm saying that there's this show up piece, right? Do I think all Jewish people are bad? Do I think
No.
all Jewish people don't show up? No, that's not realistic. And that's the real distinction that I see you making, is saying there's good and there's bad. But let's not attack this community, because there are people in the Jewish community who are doing a lot of good in the black community, right? And when they're attacked, if we all stand together, it's more of a united front. It helps eradicate whatever the ism is that we're dealing with. I'm with you, no disagreement. But I also understand what LV is saying, in saying, all right, but we've had some battles and it doesn't feel like they show up. And I think that is what is being described. But it goes back to what we talked about earlier, and I'll give this back to you, JP. It goes about what we talked about earlier, though. Are we using progressive language so that the Jewish community doesn't feel attacked every time an issue comes up from them, and feeling attacked by the black community, who is simply, hey, we need some help. Y'all need some help. Let's help each other, versus saying, why they get all the love? And I get your point. I think it's a language issue.
I hear what you're saying, that there have been times or where not all of them have shown up. My perspective is right and wrong is wrong. And if something is wrong, it's wrong. And I don't think that we can base our response upon whether or not we have gotten that same response or support from that group. If it's wrong, it's wrong. So even if no one in the Jewish community had ever done anything to support us as a people, if something is done that is wrong against a group of people, against them as a group of people, I have trouble being silent on that, because we have to do what is right, regardless of whether or not the recipient has treated us as well. Right is right and wrong is wrong.
And I 100% agree with you on that. All my only point is, let's make sure that whatever the conversation that we're having within our community, to get them to understand that we're looking and speaking about it from the right perspective. Because I think the argument is saying, you know, this versus that, I think that's the wrong argument. And I think that's the wrong argument. I think it's more saying, let's all work together, and that's not what we're hearing. But I agree with you.
So basically you're saying, even though they don't give a fuck about me, I should never ever say anything against them.
You
I'm
went too far,
saying that
LV.
I have had full blown.
I'm just saying. That's basically that's how I perceived it. That's why I asked the question. That's how I perceived it. You know, they ain't never done shit for me. They ain't never stood up for me. But you know what? I ain't gonna say shit. I ain't gonna say shit about them. I ain't gonna say.
It's not true that
But
the
that's not
Jewish
true.
community has never done anything for us. But
They don't give a fuck about
thing.
you if you ain't put no money in their pocket, Gerald.
Let me finish.
That's why they don't give a fuck. That's why they don't give a fuck about the platform. They getting paid from that shit too.
On to what
That's
you
not true, my
said. Just
man.
let me finish. My point is this: I have had full-blown racists in therapy. I didn't refuse to treat them because they were racist, because they were in need. They needed help. They were suffering psychologically and emotionally. I have never turned a racist away. I have had atheists in therapy. I have had devil worshipers in therapy, and I have still helped them. And actually, what usually ends up happening is they end up letting go of their racist beliefs as a result of having to turn to a black male therapist who provides some therapies that the vast majority of therapists are not trained to provide. That's how they ended up in my office. It was through helping them that I had more of an opportunity to help them to release their racist beliefs also, while also
That's
helping them through their trauma.
There needs to
So,
be more of
I'm
them like you that help us.
thing. You have to do the right thing regardless.
You're right.
Right is right and wrong is wrong.
That's
You know what? But see,
you. And that gives
this is my problem.
you. And
This,
but that shit ain't gonna happen.
this is
In this
problem.
world, that shit.
This is
I
my
missed most
problem.
of what he said.
This is my problem. Because there's a group of people that the only time they ever see black people, they see them as rapists and thugs. Because that's all they see. Because that's the only channels they watch. That's the only lines they look at on the internet. And they come out here and say, black people don't give a fuck about us. They just rapists and thugs. That is a generalization that is wrong and goes against everything that we stand for as for grown men. And I would say the same thing. You don't have a community like the Jewish community who help finance these civil rights. And when you look at any picture and you see people that had an appearance of white Americans, for the most part, they were from the Jewish community during the civil rights movement. You don't have that level of support from them, and then be able to say they don't give a fuck about us. It doesn't stand up. I understand LV's frustration.
Bottom line, they get money.
I disagree. I disagree with the point.
You're entitled to.
I know, and you're entitled to your opinion as well.
Are we good for today?
I was going to say, I think that's a good point to end with, because I'm sure there'll be some more conversation behind the scenes, but we're going very long. So unless LV has something to say, I'm going to start the music.
I think
I didn't even know.
think Pimpalicious got his camera off. He must be over there rubbing on his niggas.